Good morning, traders. Welcome to this update on Tuesday, the 27th of September, brought to you by Phoenix Blue. I'm Tom Colley, and I'll talk to you about the markets and the news. Yesterday, a relatively quiet day. We saw a number of central bank governors speaking. They had very little effect on the market, and we had a somewhat subdued market, giving indication of that the euro worked within a range of about 50 pips. What was more significant, and to a certain extent we'd overlooked how significant that might be, was the US presidential TV debate that happened overnight. Now, this is something interesting I saw on Bloomberg this morning. This shows the period prior to the debate versus the period immediately after the debate, which was perceived to be won by Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump. Now, a lot of the reason for this, and certainly affecting the Mexican peso here that I know we don't trade, but also the Canadian dollar, is the North American Free Trade Agreement between Mexico, Canada and the US, as sort of like the same sort of as the EU common market. They clearly were concerned about a Trump victory, and we saw relief rallies, particularly on the peso, a really big move. I think the biggest one we've seen in a positive direction for 3 months or so. The Canadian dollar went from a negative position into a positive position, predominantly along that on the back of that North American Free Trade Agreement. But we also saw significant moves on the Australian dollar and the Japanese yen. Now, for instance, the Japanese yen weakened. It weakened to a greater extent than the dollar strengthened due to this particular event. The Australian dollar, similarly, that strengthened. That strengthened through the debate, having been weak prior to the debate. So clearly, these markets are looking more favourably on a win for Hillary. This is the first TV debate, but what we'll learn from this is we'll be watching all future debates, particularly in relation to these currencies. News in general yesterday, well, as I said, we had a number of speeches. We had Kuroda from the Bank of Japan, we had Jordan from the SMB, and we had ECB President Draghi. No significant new information came out of that, and it wasn't driving the markets in any particular direction. We did have some positive German IFO business climate data, came in at 109 versus a forecast of 106. However, as I've already mentioned, the euro was largely stagnant through the day, and that had little effect through yesterday morning. We also saw Bank of Canada Governor Polis speaking overnight, and we had identified some Canadian weakness going into this speech, and there were some comments relating to general inability on the part of the world's central banks in order to reach their inflation targets in an ever more integrated worldwide economy. Going forward to today, we've got 3 o'clock, we've got consumer confidence out of the States. And although this isn't a red flag one, we've got the FOMC member Fisher speaking. He's the vice chairman of the FOMC. He is seen as predominantly as a hawk, i.e. his preference is in favour of raising rates. However, at the meeting last week, he did go with the majority and wasn't seen to dissent like some of the others we spoke about yesterday. So that's one to keep an eye on, because there are potential comments that would come out of that, and we'll be doing that going forward, keeping our eye on these orange flag speeches, particularly from the Fed. This is the dollar. Well, we saw yesterday, we saw a bit of a sell-off into followed by a recovery towards the end of the day, and then at the time this slide was taken an hour or so ago, and we could see that there was a bullish recovery in the light of the TV debate. This is the election date right over here. I will be looking into how many more TV debates and when they fall, so that we can keep an eye on those. But clearly, the US election is, as we said yesterday, is going to become ever more important. As I say, Hillary Clinton came out of that debate as perceived as the winner. We can see what that reaction is, and we'll measure that against reaction to any future debates or any indication of how the potential voting results come out. Going into the debate yesterday, both sides were shown in the latest opinion poll to have a 46% approval rating. So it was very much even Stevens, but as we said, Hillary Clinton came out on top of that. We did see the yen, it spiked down not quite to the 100 level, about 100.10 it got down to at this level just prior to the debate starting, obviously taking a concerned position, but then a significant recovery as we saw on that chart I showed you earlier for Bloomberg. So yeah, and also saw equities markets or the Nikkei 225 following this. The reason we know that is we had a small intraday trade on that yesterday at a level, but unfortunately this pushed down before the debate just stopped us out. Otherwise that would have been a nice trade. But again, potentially we overlooked the significance of the debate on that occasion. We won't do that again. Over on the euro, well, we took a trade yesterday, intraday on the euro. Price came up and perfectly touched our trend line here. Also, we had a level through there. This we got into as an intraday. I think I got in with a stop of only about 16 pips. I've had profits off the table. I've got stops at break even, looking for the downside to about 1.115 through here. But from our perspective now, irrespective of what happens, we've taken a little bit of profit and we have a free trade on the table. We talked yesterday about New Zealand weakness. I suggested that we were looking for a break below this level and a pullback to take this trade to the short side, or alternatively a price action reversal at this level here. Price, as we are live, when I looked a moment or two ago, was approaching that level. We'll be looking for that intraday price action reversal there. We'll not be going in a big risk on that trade. We will, however, be looking to get that trade short, money off the table before we get to this level, so that we can have a position prior to that should that break. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that this morning to see if we get an opportunity there. As I said, we were looking at CAD weakness going into the debate last night. The Canadian dollar on US dollar CAD here came right up to our key zone here. We'd like to see a break above that on on Canadian dollar weakness. We didn't get that. We got the opposite reaction based on that on the TV debate. Similarly, corporate America appears to prefer a Hillary win, or if not prefer, it feels more confident or more comfortable with a Hillary win. We can see we had considerable down bar yesterday, and into the debate we came even lower down to this level of support at 2140 here, but then we saw a significant bounce that on the perceived win in that debate by Hillary Clinton. So we still haven't got anything decisive in this market. I did say yesterday we were looking for a breakout of a range through here. We didn't stay within that range, so that became irrelevant. We did see through this move up here and move down on gold as a safe haven, to a smaller extent, suggested that we temporarily certainly had a return to a risk-on scenario, and we'll be watching that today to see if that continues to play out, or whether the debate was somewhat of a one-off event. So this equities market and all other equities, I noticed also the FTSE was up overnight, so equities in general appear to approve of the suggested win by Hillary in that TV debate. Okay guys, we've talked about caution all week. We still haven't got a significant direction out of the US dollar. It looked like we were going to get dollar weakness, playing out through the week before we had the debate last night. Price strengthened again on the dollar, so we're very much where we were yesterday. We'll be looking at breaks of significant levels before we'll risk our capital. We'll be looking at intraday trades based on price action for higher probability and lower risk until we get some clear direction, which we may not see this week. We may have to wait through to next week for it. So we will be watching that and trading cautiously in the intervening period. Now, for you guys who are new to Phoenix Blue, if you would like to know more about how we trade using fundamental analysis, technical analysis, and analysis of the Commitment of Traders report, we offer 4 hours of free trading once a month. You have the opportunity to trade alongside the Phoenix Blue fund managers. It's live trading through the afternoon, so obviously the degree of trading is dependent on what the markets are actually doing. But any free time there gives you the ability to ask questions for our guys to talk you through more specifically how we utilise fundamental analysis and Commitment of Trade analysis in conjunction with technical analysis that I'm sure most of you concentrate on at this moment in time. If you are interested in that event, we're waiting for confirmation of the next event. It's usually the third week of the month in London for the afternoon. If you are interested, pop on the website, go to the contacts page and say you're interested. We'll come back to you as soon as we've got that date, or keep an eye on the events page. We should be confirming that in the next few days. Okay guys, thanks for listening. Keep your eyes open for that next TV debate on the US presidential election, and trade cautiously as we've discussed. Okay, thank you very much for listening.